Hello my friends, it's time to summarize the series about the backswing. Remember that this is still just a guide, and that's why I call my page Your Guide to Better Golf. Nobody can tell you that you must do something. We all need to hit a proper golf shot, but we can still do it in many different ways. But some of the common questions I get is lead arm. Does it have to be straight? My arm is not straight. Is that okay? Can I bend it a little bit? How wide should the backswing be? Is wider better? How about footwork? Do I need to be stacked all the time, or can I actually lift that foot a little bit to help me in my backswing? And how and when should my wrist start working? Should I have an early wrist setting, or should I have a late wrist set? These questions I will try to answer, and we're going to end up with the last thing, and that's details. If you bring one detail into your backswing, can that be good, or could it be disaster? Let's try to answer these questions today. The first one that I get absolutely the most questions about: how can you even find the ball, hit the ball with that bent lead arm in your backswing? I'm bending it pretty much, but it doesn't happen in the wrong place. What I mean by that, it's fairly straight at setup, and then it's fairly straight a bit back, but then at the top of the swing it's bent. But then it's straight again. Halfway down, it's straight again. So I'm having no problem getting the correct distance to the ball or to the ground if I'm hitting this club. And I need to do that. I'm pretty wide. My chest is pretty wide. And if I need to have a straight arm and also be able to be relaxed, I almost need to remove my arm from my shoulder socket. I can't move it that much. My chest is in the way. So for me, the question is a no-brainer. My body needs to do that to be able to do a full golf swing, a full backswing. And also, I talk a lot about finding a little bit more speed, but to find speed, we can't control speed. So if it's not natural for you to have that straight, beautiful, like everyone says, lead arm, it will cost me a lot of energy to keep it straight. Energy that I want to use to accelerate the club. I don't want to spend energy to control motion. I want to create motion. And also, I mean, today we know that this is a speed generator. Slightly bent and straight again will actually increase speed. A lot of tour pros, the hottest golfer right now is by far Scotty Scheffler. He just won the Players Championship. And he's pretty straight all the way to the top, and then he bends and straights on the way down. So he has a little relaxed, almost like he's feeling a little throw in his lead arm. Relaxed is the biggest key. So hitting a golf ball, I need to be relaxed. Throwing anything, hitting anything, we need to get speed and relaxation. If I don't get that, I will not be able to hit a golf ball. Then all my energy is controlling motion instead of creating motion. I want the club to move. I don't want to stop it. I want my arm to move. I don't want to hold it. Try to be relaxed and see what happens. Use video. I mean, everyone's got a pretty good phone today. When you feel really relaxed, is it straight? Fine. Is it a little bit bent? Fine. It's all about how we hit the golf ball. How about your footwork? Is it okay to lift the lead foot? In some methods, it isn't. Some methods want you to be almost all the weight, or not all, but most of the weight on the front foot all the time. Then you can't do this. I think it's good to do that. It's easy to use your feet, almost like a boxer trying to hit something. We need to use footwork. I mean, it's natural. Again, controlling motion could be really bad for you, because then you waste your energy in stopping something instead of creating something. I like moving my feet, but can it be a bad thing? Of course it can. If you move your feet and you don't come back to the same position again, so if I move back, but I stay here, I'm going to hit the ground. Not good. So it's all about what you can do going forward again. Many of the legends in golf are really lifting their foot. Some of the golfers on the PGA Tour today are almost dancing around like they doing tango. So footwork, I think, is really important. Footwork, not foot control. So try to find, if you need to do this, do it. Maybe your friends don't. But if you do it, nobody should tell you that the reason you're hitting it bad is because you lift that foot. It's absolutely okay to do. I don't focus much on my backswing. It just became a backswing. So this has been pretty hard for me actually when I'm thinking about what I'm doing. But I can stand still on that foot, but I will not get the same feeling. I like the feeling of free motion. If I want to hit it low or lower, I just want to hit something else than my standard shot, I will be leaning more forward. I will not go back as much. Hitting a driver, it will be a little bit different. I will go back and delay that part and actually hit the ball and then. So it's something else. But it's becoming a little different because I'm trying to do something different with my hands and arms and the club. But lifting and using your footwork, really good. Do it in your backswing if you need. It helps. I think that you can prevent a lot of injury in your hips and your lower back if you let your footwork actually be relaxed. A little bit like a small dance. Keep it if you do it and try it if you don't. How wide should your backswing be? Another thing I have never ever thought about. I haven't told anyone to be more wide. Width can be something that people focus on for years. And the problem is, like everything, width is good. Too much width will actually make you lose your balance. If I don't understand that there's a limit, I can't go longer than this, my arm's not going to be longer. If I try to do that, I will lose my balance and I will go too much in that direction. I think that instructors use width to stop people from just, I don't know, just using their arms. Then I could do it. But then I would instead would tell someone, please turn your shoulders too. Because if you only use your arms, it's going to look like this. And that happens. Maybe one golfer a year I can see doing just an arm move. But as soon as they understand that they also need to do a shoulder turn, it looks good again. So you can think wide, But you also need to realize that too much width will probably make you have bad balance. And that you will feel instantly. If you try to move the club too much in that direction, you will have a really hard time coming back. You probably hit the golf ball fat, and you probably sometimes fat, sometimes thin, because the low point will end up being here. Maybe your driver likes it, but otherwise it's not too good. Too much width is not good. It's a hard word for me. So, is it different between clubs? Yes, a little bit. A driver could look similar going up and going down. But when you see the pros hitting irons, they're actually wide and very narrow going back because they want to be a little bit steeper going into the golf ball. Super wide can make you lose balance, but wide is okay. Don't stop turning your shoulders. You need that too. So we need to feel that we're not holding the club in here. We need to have some distance, but too much distance will make you lose balance. Wrist hinge. There's so many videos about how to use your wrists in the backswing. They're not the same amount of videos how to use them through the golf ball, but that's another thing. To create lag, you need to hinge your wrists. And when to do it, if I really have to decide for you, it's going to be like this. The first that happens is more like a turn. The club turns from pointing that way to turning this way. A slight hinge before you reach that leg. But when you pass the trail leg, it's 90% straight up. Then it's hinge and bending the trail arm. They work together. 1, 2. Some golfers that I meet do it a little crazy. This way, and then it hinges late. Or even later. But they still hinge the wrist. But if I have to decide for you, I want it to be 2 parts. They always come together as one movement, but I think about it in 1, and from there 2. This is more like turning the club back, so it's pointing slightly in, turn, and go up. So when you pass your trail leg, start hinging your wrists. But how about the top? Can you hinge it too much? And here we talked about, almost every instructor talked about Dustin Johnson's crazy wrist at the top. Not so many talk about it anymore. But why don't we talk about Ernie Els' wrist that looks like that on top? I rather have Ernie Els' golf swing than Dustin Johnson's golf swing. That's just me. Or Fred Couples. He looks the same. It's like that. I don't like to put a restriction on what I can do or not can do. So I let my wrists hinge pretty much. So I'm going not there. I'm going a little bit extra. And I get that bent wrist. But going up, and then when I can come down, it's pretty straight again. So my wrist hinge is big, but going back, it all sorts out perfectly. Therefore, I can't decide how much you should do that. That's something that you need to try. If you need to keep your wrist straight at the top, or you can actually make it go that way, fine. You need to try it. You can find, among the 100 best golfers in the world, you can find both. You can find that too. It hurts me when I do it, but I can't say it's not working. Jon Rahm is doing it. He's almost doing a half swing, so that's not really at the top. It's just at the transition between backswing and forward. So we need to have keep it a little bit personal. We need to try. That's one of the biggest things you need to remember. We need to try different things to find what works for me. Me as a golfer, I'm responsible. That's why I call my page your guide, not your instructor, your guide. Because that's all I am. I'm trying to make you test things that probably will work for you. And that's really important. Again, start 1, turn the club, and then hinge and go up. Start up. 1, 2. If I have to decide, that's what I think you should do. When I look at the questions I get, there's 50, maybe 60 just the last year about one single detail. Can I do that? Why is he doing that? Why is she doing it? And that is a big problem in golf. If I would, I test a few of them, but mostly I can find that they are not the piece of my puzzle. And that is what you need to think about. Also, is this something I can do? I want to hit a draw. There are many things in the golf swing, including the backswing, that you're not supposed to do if you want to hit a draw. But from what I call a neutral backswing, where the club is going in, pointing a little bit back, but after that going up. From here, I can be a little bit outside, I can come down on the inside, I can be fairly straight. So what I'm trying to do is give you a window. If you're inside this window, you can hit a good golf shot. But you will always have to think about what's good for you. And never change something if it's working. If you can hit proper golf shots with the backswing that you have today, keep it. Same with the grip, same with the stance. I mean, it's all about what we can do with the golf ball. So if we stay within some limits in the backswing and you bring your personal touch to it, your body can't do what I do. My body can't do what you do because we're not the same. You need to be careful with details. And also if an instructor tells you, you have to do this, or a golf friend, a golf buddy or golf friend tells you, oh, you need to do this, or I hit it good because of I'm just doing this detail. That's not true. That detail is also a piece of the puzzle. And if you want to copy someone, you need to copy the whole puzzle, not just the piece, because if that doesn't fit you, it's going to be a disaster. Details can really do that. So be a little careful. This series was all about just giving you some guidance to what can give you problems and giving you some limits about what I think is okay and not okay. But you will always have to do it a little bit personal. And again, if it works good today, you have good balance, you hit good golf shots, it's not going to be a huge difference if you find one detail in your backswing. Keep it simple and keep what works.